Hi everyone, my name is Sébastien DENIS from CGI Luxembourg. I'm a business director in charge of the space industry. We are here to talk about the impact of 5G in our current modern lives. I'm here with Jamie. Hi Jamie, how are you from UK?
Hey Sébastien, et bonjour Luxembourg.
To start with, what is 5G? I would like to compare it to the current network, the generation that we are using, which is the 4G. If we compare it to the 5G is 10 times more faster than the 4G. To compare, if we think about a big file that you used to send in 3G, it can take up to 26 hours. Now, if you send the same file with the 5G, it can take less than 5 seconds. So you can imagine the difference between the two technology. And this is just the part that we see from the iceberg. During this short introduction of 1 minute, more than 400,000 tweets have been sent. Around 2 million photos have been exchanged on Snapchat. On Instagram is about 40,000 pictures. And on LinkedIn, already 120 new accounts. So you can imagine the amount of data is exchanged every minute. The biggest difference between 4G and 5G would not be the speediness of the network, but would be the interaction between the different elements that we're using every day. For instance, if we think about V2V, vehicle to vehicle, currently the vehicles, they are using a lot of data. If we think about Tesla or autonomous vehicle. Currently, the vehicle, they're not using the information from the infrastructure. But tomorrow, with 5G, the vehicle will be able to interact between the roads, the signs, the people walking, the pedestrians, and also the people using bicycles. So everything will be interact, but also vehicle to vehicle. We all remember this video where we see a Tesla moving 1 meter on the right to avoid to receive a big tire planning of the car. So they've done it completely automatically. Just by vehicle to vehicle information, she were able to brake before that happened. So this kind of prediction is only possible with high technology and very good connection. 5G will allow to do all this interaction. I have another example. I can talk about my daughter who's 8 years old. She's really on the new generation of plug and play. On my times, we used to wait the weekend to see a cartoon or a nice movie. It was on the Saturday at that time and not the hour. But now, my kid just sit on the sofa, turn on the TV and play Netflix or play Disney. She can have whatever she wants at any time. Just plug and play without any time of latency downloading. Tomorrow with the 5G, the interaction will not be only on the movies, but also when you are outside with your mobile, with your car, at the office, everything going to be mobile, agile, and interacted. So now what about 5G on the space industry? A lot of satellite operators, they are involving their surveys in 5G in order to develop this kind of offer to provide new services for mobile operators on Earth. They will be able to leverage the current offer by providing larger services and a better communication and interaction between the local mobile network already developed on Earth. If you think about Africa, they are currently using 3G, 2G and 3G technology, but tomorrow, thanks to the satellite communication on 5G, they will be able to communicate as faster in Congo than will be faster in Paris. So the potential of growth and interaction between the countries will have a huge impact on the economy.
So as Sébastien has said, 5G is going to be really transformative for a number of different reasons. But let's not forget it is a mobile communications technology. So the biggest transformation and disruption that it will have will be for those industries where communications is used today, on the move, but where coverage is patchy, where performance is slow because there's low bandwidth, or the network is just unreliable. So 5G will bring this greater bandwidth, it will bring the better reliability at network level, it will bring lower latency eventually, which will enable these rich applications like AR and VR. And it will also bring the widespread use of massive machine-to-machine communications. So here I'm thinking about the fact that currently on 4G the specification is 100,000 devices per square kilometre, although typically only about 2,000 are currently present on average. In 5G the capability will go up to a million devices per square kilometres. So that really emphasises the fact that these massive machine-to-machine applications are going to become ubiquitous. But thinking about that ubiquity, one issue that 5G doesn't really address is coverage. So the coverage in 5G will be pretty similar to 4G. It's based on the same frequency spectrum, sub 1 gigahertz, but when we go above 1 gigahertz the range decreases. So certainly when you get to millimeter wave, the cell size is 200 or 300 meters. So there's no reason to expect that the coverage of 5G will be any better than 4G, at least not in the short term. So that's really where space can play a role. Space can play the role in allowing these 5G networks to become ubiquitous, which, when you think about it, most of these industries don't really want a point solution. They want to have a solution which they can deploy anywhere. So space becomes an enabler in that sense, because it enables these industries and these verticals to deploy their solutions anywhere, knowing and having a guarantee that it will work anywhere. It's incredibly powerful for overall uptake. So two applications where I think it's really important that 5G and space play a role are the rail industry and the shipping industries. So coming first to the rail industry, 5G technology is already going to be embedded in something called FRMCS, the Future Rail Mobile Communication System. So the rail industry today uses a system called GSMR. GSMR is based on 2G technology. It's mainly for voice and very low data rate data. It is still not fully available, and even in the UK it took €2 billion to roll out. GSMR will be around for at least till 2028, I think is its potential initial out of service date. And FRMCS is still under definition and probably won't become available till mid-2025. But FRMCS is really based on 5G technology, so it skips a few generations, it skips a few Gs. And what it brings is the ability to have the really high data rates and network robustness that 5G brings, and bring that into the rail industry in a way that's simply not been possible before. But it will enable these more complex and safer and more secure applications, but it will need to be rolled out everywhere to be useful. And that's where space really has a role to play, both in terms of the high data rate services. So for passenger Wi-Fi, everybody knows that despite the best efforts of the rail industry, passenger Wi-Fi is still not perfect. But also for those train control applications. So in order to do that, we'll need to build space services which are fundamentally compatible with 5G from the start, so that they can be built into FRMCS in the future. But actually the advantages can be taken now, because those satellite services can help the Wi-Fi connectivity from passengers before they get into the command and control area. But overall, this is really quite transformative. So GSMR doesn't really enable the digitalisation of the railways because the data rates are so small. FRMCS will enable that. FRMCS and the 5G technology underpinning it and the space technology underpinning it will enable rail operators to get their sensor data in real time, in high volumes, in a secure way, off all of their network, off all of the devices on their network, which will enable things like preventative maintenance. It will enable digital signalling, enabling so that the trackside infrastructure can be removed. It will enable a better quality of service to passengers so that they can work on the move, so that they can access their full office experience on their laptop or on their phone or on any device on the train with very low latency. So all this is only really possible with 5G, and it's only really possible with space, but it does require some technology development to get there. The other area is digital shipping. So again, digital shipping is quite a hot topic at the moment, partly because of the need to improve the efficiency of ships. They tend to be quite dirty compared to transport on land at the moment, and there's a real effort going on to introduce things like higher autonomy, to introduce electric shipping. All these kind of technologies are now coming into the maritime arena, and they all rely on better communications. So this goes into the freight area. So most freight comes by ship today, and enabling that end-to-end supply chain is really important, because it's the bigger operators who have changed and digitalised their operations in the last few years that have been really successful. We see that continuing. We see these big operators wanting to digitalise their full supply chains, their full logistics chains, because it simply enables them to be more productive, more efficient in business, and that's how they can beat their competition. So on the freight side, we see a big push towards end-to-end tracking through IoT, through multimodal monitoring. So this is monitoring the freight when it's on the road, when it's in the air, when it's on the ship, in a completely seamless way. And 5G enables that to be done both at network and device level, again in a very secure way. But we'll also see it from the point of view of the passenger experience. So obviously before COVID, the cruise shipping industry was very successful, and the whole digital experience on board those ships is becoming an integral part of the experience for the passengers, and also an important way for the cruise ship operators to interact with their customers, both on the ship and off the ship. And so this is things like watching Netflix, having Netflix, for example, fully available when you're on the ship. That's not easy, but a key area, I think, where 5G and satellites have a role to play, accepting that satellites are still are really integral to delivering communications at sea, is that transition between the onboard experience and the shore-based experience. So where passengers are coming off the ship, where they're using their devices on the ship, they are using Wi-Fi, and then they come onto the land, they come onto the shore, and they're on an MNO network, local MNO network somewhere abroad. They don't know if their devices are going to work. The cruise ships lose the contact with the passengers. The passengers lose contact with the shipping company or with the cruise ship. 5G enables a complete network slice to be put across for each of those shipping companies, so that the passengers can stay on their network slice, which is operated by the cruise company, for the whole journey, both on ship and on the shore. And that enables a much better quality of experience to be offered to those passengers. So they'll get a much richer experience, a much more seamless experience, a much more ubiquitous experience. But also the cruise ships and the operators will be able to monetize that experience out of that advantage compared to what's done today. So those are just two little vignettes, really, of ways in which 5G is really going to transform some of the industries in perhaps slightly unexpected ways, and how space can play a role, and an integral role and an enabling role in that transformation.
So how 5G can help the company to rebound and reinvent the current tool they're using to face a crisis such as the coronavirus that we are facing. If you think about a couple of months ago, we were all obliged to work from home and use the tools that we were using every day that were not made to be used intensively as we have done, like every day doing the conference and all that. We all face a lot of trouble shorting and a loss of efficiency. With the 5G, all these applications will be reinvented, redesigned to be more efficient, to bring cost effectiveness to the company and also a strong satisfaction to the end user. After the 5G will arrive, there will be a real revolution for the people working for company because they can be located wherever they want with the stability of the network, the low latency of the network 5G that will bring a lot of pleasure and quality to the end user to provide the professionalism of their service.